Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2537R Ace 1. Shattering Bite Kill, a power long cherished by the strong members of the Fong Wolf clan. Four fangs, their teeth are their best weapon. They are extremely sharp and can kill anything. Su Nian's cold, sharp teeth could crush any power. He is the possessor of the most powerful enhancement ability, yet he also possesses teeth that can suppress all other abilities. Snap, snap, snap. His snow-white teeth, like a guillotine, mercilessly crush Morana's layers of absolute zero freezing domains. Then, the powerful and swift wolf body rushed towards Morana in the distance with lightning speed. Morana moved with lightning speed, alternating his steps, shifting his shoulder, raising his arm, and concentrating his shield in one fluid motion. In an instant, 10 layers of icy crystals piled up on her left arm, each layer hundreds of meters thick, stacking up to block her way. This is a barrier that can withstand the bombing of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Su Nian ignored all that nonsense and simply opened his mouth. Click. The barrier formed by the 10th layer of the most solid ice shattered in one bite. Splash. Like a god of war, he disregarded Morana's defenses, and to her astonishment, his fangs pierced straight through the outermost layer of icy dust and bit into her left arm. At that moment, no blood splattered, because the blood was frozen into countless tiny dark red ice shards, like a string of shattered red coral. The ice shards only began to melt at the edge of the cold zone in the next instant, and the color of blood arrived belatedly. Her arm was torn off by Su Nian, and her body was thrown backward. Morana. Morgan's voice finally cracked. King Arthur stood up abruptly, his sword already half drawn. Stop. Orib's eyes darkened, and the holy sword's flames leaped up an inch with a whoosh. The Fong Wolf clan members were also keeping a close eye on the Sixth Generation's camp, and they wouldn't hold back if the Sixth Generation made a move. Sit down. Saladin pressed the men down, his voice heavy as if it weighed down half a mountain. She's still alive. Morana was indeed still alive, although one of her arms had been completely torn off, but she quickly froze the wound with ice. She didn't give up. Instead, she raised her right arm. Splash. 3 enormous ice chains rose from the ground, like 3 giant ice snakes, coiling around Su Nian's body. Instead of retreating, Su Nian advanced, letting out an extremely soft breath, his teeth tapping lightly. Crack, crack, crack. The 3 ice chains disintegrated as if screwed apart by a screwdriver of fingers whipped away from his fur, turning into a shower of crystal dust. He didn't take a second bite. His movements were so fast they were almost like a phantom. With the force of the impact still lingering, his shoulders slammed into the edge of Morana's breastplate, sending her flying more than 10 meters away. Snap. Combat suits, armor, or even frost armor shattered completely in an instant. Morana's chest caved in deeply, and she felt as if her internal organs had shattered at almost the same time. Morana staggered to regain her balance, landing on one knee. The ice field expanded once more beneath her, but its edges were unstable, like an ice flower blown up by the wind from all directions. Puff. She coughed up a mouthful of frozen blood, and her face was even paler than before. Stop. We surrender. Morgan shouted loudly. Su Nian licked the red from the corner of his mouth and did not continue to pursue. Although he appeared arrogant, he knew the situation and that now is not the time for him to go crazy. If he accidentally angers a powerful race, he might also be in trouble. His voice was low and impatient. Is this the strongest among the 6th generation? Nothing special, too weak. Morgan quickly helped Morana back, and a healing-type ability user behind him stabilized Morana's injuries and then treated him. Morana was panting heavily, and even speaking was difficult for him. Mocking voices came from all directions. I told you long ago, the sixth generation of humans is too weak, hee hee hee. I had some expectations for them, but I didn't expect them to be so weak. There's no point in continuing these negotiations. Let's just take action and wipe them out. Morgan and the others felt a chill run through their bodies, the icy sensation penetrating to their very bones. It wasn't the wind that was too cold. It was his heart that was cold. The glimmer of hope that had just been propped up by absolute zero crumbled into dust as Sun Yan's fangs were bitten and destroyed. Everyone saw it. Morana, the goddess of winter, with an ability index of 45,000 points, the Ice King of Fremont, had her arm bitten off before she could even complete the 3-move exchange, and was almost killed in battle. The difference in strength is truly astounding. Morana is already among their top-tier fighters. Even if King Arthur, Saladin, or Morgan were to take the stage, they would still struggle to perform better. A deep laugh, like clashing metal, echoed from the ironclad clan's ranks. Is this the pinnacle of skill among the sixth generation? Has the sixth generation not even produced a single knight-level individual? The Celestial clan's airflow ripples were calm and still. Verifiable conclusion, weak. The Skywing clan warrior slightly folded his wings, his voice thin and cold. What a weak and pitiful race. I can still fight. Let me go back to the battlefield one more time. Morana raised his head, his lips pale, but he spoke weakly. You've done your best. Morgan's tone was firm yet gentle. They will be affected by absolute zero. That's your achievement. Leave the rest to others. Give it to someone else? Sun Yan understood and smiled, revealing her full teeth. Give it to whom? Who else among you can fight? Feel free to send anyone to fight me. As long as they can defeat me, my Fong Wolf clan will recognize the status of your sixth generation. His gaze swept across the human seats, sifting through each face like sand. He seemed to be picking off a bone that was easier to chew. Does anyone dare to come out and fight me? Orb's holy sword rose another inch, and thin lines of flame crawled back and forth along the blade, like a fire serpent nailed to iron. He tilted his head back, a very thin glint of light in the whites of his eyes. Let me fight.
No.
I'll do it. King Arthur lowered his eyes. He's very skilled in close combat. I, as his knight, should face him. Saladin placed his hands on his knees, his eyes gleaming with a dark light. Attack him using the methods of an assassin. It might have a surprising effect. However, Morgan stopped everyone. No, he's too strong. His ability index is 53,000. You're no match for him. There's no need to go and throw your lives away. So, what do you plan to do? King Arthur stared at him and asked. Morgan took a deep breath, then said firmly in a deep voice, Don't forget, our trump card hasn't arrived yet. It was only then that everyone remembered that the strongest among them was still on his way. Chapter 25:38 RAs 2. Sun Yan flicked her still bleeding claws, lazily surveying the human seats, her voice like a scraper rubbing against sheet metal. Is there anything stronger? If not, let's not waste everyone's time. Let's join forces and clear out 6 generations in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. Benjamin Morgan gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles turning white, but he still managed to keep his tone even. We still have one person who hasn't arrived yet. His codename is Chaos, and he's the most powerful 6th-generation human among us. Oh. Sun Yan leaned forward slightly, the shadow of the wolf's head covering half of her face. This strongest of the 6th generation of humans? It sounds like a dream you don't want to wake up from. In dreams, there are always saviors, but when you wake up, you're still bitten to pieces. King Arthur's gaze darkened. Just because you've sharpened your teeth doesn't mean you've seen everything. Saladin said in a deep voice, Didn't you keep saying you wanted to negotiate before we came? If you're so impatient to take action, why did you agree in the first place? The negotiations were certainly real. Sun Yan spread out her fingers. But we need to clear out the noise first. Without you guys at the table, it's much cleaner to talk about. The protagonists of this negotiation are us. The myriad races that ruled this land in ancient times. He glanced at Saladin, Morgan, King Arthur, and others with a cold smile. What are 6 generations? You've only existed for 1,000,000 years, and you've never truly been kings. In contrast, our era of dominance over the world has suppressed even those other beings. Upon hearing this, many of the alien races began to look at him strangely. Throughout countless eras and for far too long, they have fought against the Druckers. The monsters created by the Creator require countless patches to suppress. Unfortunately, in the end, they all failed. The air in the human seats was tense to the extreme. A single thought was enough to suppress them, making it difficult for them to utter a word. Their strength is undeniable. Even Morana lost, so they wouldn't dare to fight Sun Yen. Moreover, there are quite a few powerful alien beings of Sun Yen's caliber present. At this moment, the representative of the Thousand Hands clan, who was on friendly terms with the 6th-generation human clan, spoke up. If we can avoid fighting, then we shouldn't fight. Today's discussion should not be conducted in blood. You don't have any sympathy for this weak race, do you? That's not the mindset of a strong person. Sun Yen curled the corners of her lips and said sarcastically. Morana stepped behind the physician, her severed arm temporarily frozen. She raised her eyes and said coldly, "When chaos arrives, you won't talk like this. I'm looking forward to it." Sun Yen shrugged, a disdainful sneer on her face. I hope he can make me take it a little more seriously. Morgan's heart pounded as he listened to the undisguised snickers from the alien group. He understood just how fragile those 2 words they were betting on were. Morana was torn apart in one bite. Can chaos really stabilize the situation? Or will it be another, even more devastating annihilation? In that case, the confidence of the entire 6th generation of humanity will likely be shattered. The celestial clan's aura created a gentle vibration in everyone's ears. This wind direction is meaningless. We shouldn't waste our time on unimportant races. Gushin of the Ironclad clan also emitted a heavy hum. The cleanup process, of course, should be completed as quickly as possible. After we've cleaned up 6 generations of humans, we also have other issues to deal with. The World Tree clan's branches drooped, its leaves folding into a pair of closed eyes. Forests that have decayed and fallen should be felled to make way for new trees. And the ashes of the old ones are the nourishment for the new ones. At the very moment that mockery descended, the sea suddenly darkened, as if sunlight had been gently drawn through an invisible curtain. Then, the curtain was cut in half. A black slit appeared in the void, neither emitting light nor casting a shadow, simply existing silently. It wasn't a door, yet everyone's intuition simultaneously told them an invisible door had been opened. The black seam stretches out into an ellipse along the geometrically optimal lines, with 3,000 cold, translucent petals delicately blooming along its edges, like 3,000 tiny mirrors, slowly rotating. You can't see anything inside each petal. You can only feel their depth, like a person standing on the beach suddenly putting their feet into a galaxy. The gateway to another dimension? The cloud pillar of the Celestial clan trembled slightly. I didn't even notice the spatial fluctuations. The person who came here has reached an extremely high level of spatial control. Gu Shan's shoulder armor tucked in, a hint of unconscious caution flashing behind his heavy eye sockets. The next moment, a black alloy combat boot stepped out from the door, making a soft tap sound as it stepped on the air. A dark figure appeared, clad in armor so dark it could devour light, a ferocious and intimidating sight, emerging from the dimensional gate. That was an armor whose entire structure was designed to end life, the armor of the ending demon god. The dark patterns on the armor's surface resembled peeling marks formed by countless layers of history, with wisps of black mist breathing slowly in the gaps, like wind drawn from some colder, deeper place. His sudden appearance in the somber atmosphere of the meeting drew everyone's attention. Some people are wondering who he is. However, the powerful sense of oppression emanating from the other party made some warriors from ancient civilizations feel a heaviness in their hearts. In the human seats, everyone's gaze was drawn to it like a tide. Some people stood up abruptly, while others instinctively pressed their hands to their chests. Morgan gripped the edge of the chair with both hands, his knuckles making a cracking sound. Exclamations of surprise and delight rang out from them. Chaos. You've finally arrived. Upon seeing Zhang Yi appear, everyone felt as if they had seen a glimmer of hope, their eyes burning with fervor. Right now, they didn't have time to worry about why Zhang Yi arrived so late. They desperately needed someone to lead them and help them maintain order. Upon hearing the 6 generations description of the black-armored man, the alien races suddenly understood. This is the strongest of 6 generations? I've heard some of his stories, and he seems to have performed well among the 6 generations of humans. But to call him a hope is a bit of an exaggeration. Their impression of Zhang Yi was based on his last large-scale public action, his visit to the Celestial Palace in Fremont. The subsequent explorations were all conducted in private and were therefore unknown to the outside world. Su Nian narrowed her eyes, her cold gaze fixed on Zhang Yi, who had just appeared. This guy, he looks a bit more pleasing to the eye than the rest of you. Zhang Yi appeared at the venue. Deep within the left eye, an ancient clock face gently floats up, its second hand slowly turning a notch as if waking up in the sea breeze. Within the right eye, a vortex of space is spinning. He had observed all the alien races around him. Those ancient and powerful beings forced him to maintain his strongest state at all times, otherwise he would find it difficult to deal with them. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.